Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. We are getting into the biggest day of earnings tomorrow. All the tech titans, well, all the tech titans minus Microsoft reporting on the same night. So, really, just going to be an absolutely bonkers day. And there are, I definitely want to reiterate that there are a lot of other stocks, a lot of other good patterns outside of those names. They will get nearly all of the attention, but there's also a lot of other names that set up well, that are moving around, etc. Right? And as the market starts to rebound here, you're starting to see some things rally, some more slowly, some a lot more aggressively into earnings, right? And I got the question about UPS, like what I was thinking, because there was a call spread that was open for a couple weeks ahead of earnings, right? Now I'm just gonna walk through it quickly, and then kind of tell you like some of the things that I see or how I kind of approach it. All right, so the first is like the ramp into the report. I mean, I've gone over that a few times, or more than a few times actually, over the last 2 to 3 weeks. I felt like the ramp into report style trade definitely where there's going to be a lot of potential this quarter, just based off of how things are working and expectations, right? So the first thing that really got me interested was after the FedEx print, right? Stock had this huge gap on the FedEx numbers, pulled back, and then started to form a higher base with rising support from the 8 EMA. You know how much I like that 8 EMA 20-day catch-up trade, right? So it reset above 115, right? Reset this key support area, had rising moving average, and then that's when it started to turn and run, right? So the first thing is that UPS jumped on FedEx. So the FedEx numbers really got you interested, right? And then it was kind of lining up the timing. So it was a technical setup plus like the time ahead of the earnings report, right? So you basically had two jumps. So you had the jump on FedEx, and now you're having a jump into earnings because they're due to report tomorrow. So the fact that it's moved twice, so basically off of good numbers from peers, and then as in anticipation of good numbers tomorrow, definitely makes me more cautious. All right, if it had just jumped off the pier, or if it had just jumped off, in anticipation of good numbers tomorrow, then maybe I'd say okay, still room. But the fact that it's jumped twice now, once off FedEx, and now again in anticipation of good numbers, definitely makes me think that expectations are very high going into tomorrow. That being said, what's interesting about UPS, even after the run it's had, is the technical setup, right? So the way I would see it, right, like the stock is probing like the top of yearly resistance, and yes, it's had two pretty substantial moves in a short period, but it's also at a point in the chart where there could be more upside if the numbers are good and it breaks out, right? Because you can see it's a very clear level of resistance with a very clear target above it. So the way I would look at it is either the more cautious route would be to close the whole thing, wait and see what the numbers are like, and then see if it gets through 125, 126, and revisit it for a swing trade. Or maybe you could look to like size down, right? Take some risk off the table, and then maybe put on something lower debit just to see if it breaks out and really takes off. But you have to weigh where it came from, where expectations are, and what options are pricing, right? Because when you're looking at an earnings trade, option pricing certainly matters just as much as the fundamentals and the technicals, right? Because you need the stock to move a certain amount to make money because the options are pricing in typically larger moves, right? So that's kind of how I view UPS. If it had just had one move off the FedEx numbers and chilled, then it probably would have been a little bit better for setup. If it had just a ramp into the report and it hadn't had the huge reaction to FedEx, then that probably would have been a little bit set up a little bit better. But because it moved off of the FedEx numbers really sharply, and then again a huge move right ahead of earnings, that definitely makes me more cautious. I said the caveat is that the chart's still kind of interesting, but to me, like it's more of like a lower debit, higher risk, kind of like a speculative idea if it can like bust up through like this 125, 126 resistance range, right? So like that's what I was looking at. That's why the short term call spread was closed today. But in general, that's kind of how I approach things. If they have multiple moves um, ahead of earnings, or even like one ridiculously big move ahead of earnings, definitely makes me more cautious. Um, but if the technical setup still warrants a trade, maybe you can like do something low debit, maybe like risk like a quarter to a third of what you made on the previous trade, right? Something along those lines. All right. So again, tomorrow's gonna be wild. Tonight and tomorrow are gonna be wild. Lots going on. Expecting a lot of action. So if you like this video and you are looking for more earnings trades, more ramp into the report trades, got some coming up for next week, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options in play. Have a fantastic night. Best of luck if you are playing in these earnings, and stay well. And I'll talk to you all tomorrow.